Hello everyone, welcome to the 10-week Guide My Wellness. This is week 5 and it's called Identify Emotions. I'm Laura Lake and this week we will cover identifying emotions, thoughts, and behavior. Foundation, why we talk about emotions. So some of us make emotional decisions. Maybe we have existing emotional responses. Some of us react versus responding. Then there's thoughts based on past experiences or future predictions. We avoid or gain certain feelings when we do certain actions. And then there's related habits and behaviors with those feelings. As you may remember, E is for emotional health in the bedmass of wellness. Now I've divided that into 3 different sections. One's called thoughts, the other is feelings, and the next is behavior. And thoughts are made up of our perceptions, our experiences, and our mindset. Feelings are our mental and physical feelings, as well as awareness, our 5 senses, the way we react, and our beliefs. And then our behavior is the actual actions that we take. It is responding based on past experiences. It's our habit, our attitude, our personality, and our performance. How we measure emotional health. So emotional health is about being happy, self-confident, self-aware, and resilient. People who are emotionally healthy are able to cope with life's challenges and recover from setbacks. And that's a quote from healguide.org. First, we start by getting to know ourselves. So we must learn to identify feelings and emotions, shift to a more positive outlook on life, develop clear self-perception, so knowing who we are, managing our stress and obstacles that come up, and learning from failure and persevering. How can I learn about myself? Well, the first way is ask yourself. So some people do self-reflection through like a journal or a diary, and others, like myself, do it through mindfulness. The next is new experiences. This is my favorite. Do something different. Get out of your comfort zone. And as the picture shows, maybe go skydiving. I would be so scared, but I would love it. And number 3 is observe. So you're going to observe others and yourself. We're going to try to restrain from making judgments and then take a 30,000-foot aerial view. So instead of fully focusing on what we're observing, we're now taking a step back. We're creating that space and seeing things from a broader perspective. What are some of the benefits of mindfulness? Why do I practice mindfulness? Well, number 1, it reduces anxiety. For me, it's a great method for prevention of anxiety, and it gives me an awareness into the present moment. Number 2, it's a treatment for depression. So I've learned a very secular method for practicing mindfulness that was adapted to the healthcare system. This method is used to help treat conditions like depression, chronic pain, anxiety, stress, as well as behavior. And number 3, it increases compassion. This is where we learn to have thoughts without judgment. We're allowing thoughts. We're creating space. We're finding satisfaction and tolerance. Number 4, it improves cognition. So this is where we improve memory, problem solving. It increases our mood, functioning, and even our processing. Number 5, it decreases distractions. Now we all tend to get distracted by things like social media, really cool YouTube videos, just any kind of shiny thing that happens in the room. This helps us focus by being present, letting go of the past and the future, and coming out of what we call autopilot. Number 6, it helps us reconnect. So our mind and body work together, and when they work together, we actually start to notice habits that we have. We start to notice patterns and changes. And when we start to notice those patterns and changes, we can start to prevent issues from happening. The brain. So by practicing mindfulness, it affects two main parts of the brain, the amygdala, which is the lizard brain, and the prefrontal cortex, which is part of the mammalian brain. Now, there are a few changes that happen in the brain. Number one, there's more thoughtful response. Number two, there's less stress response. And number three, there's less pain. Now, the definition of mindfulness by John Kabat-Zinn, he's the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction, and he says, mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and without judgment. Now, what does that actually mean? So, paying attention is actively engaging with the mind and body using our senses. Like that cat, you can see it's completely focused on us. Number two, particular way. So each practice can have a different posture. Maybe there's a guiding idea, an anchor like your breath when you're breathing in and out, a different length of time, or even a different type of activity. On purpose means deciding to be present and making an effort to practice. Present moment. That's bringing your awareness back to the present moment by letting go of past and future thoughts. Past and future thoughts would be things like memories or future planning. And then the last one is without judgment. So thoughts are not facts. Opinions are based usually on emotions, and we are not what we label ourselves to be. Remember, thoughts are just thoughts. Let them come in, let them go out. Now you're probably saying to yourself, okay, Laura, that's a lot. That's a huge definition. Give me the short and straight answer. So the short answer is mindfulness is noticing what's happening in the here and now. And it's the practice of noticing thoughts, acknowledging them, and letting them go that's mindfulness. You don't need to clear your mind. There's nothing fancy. There's no higher power. Simple practicing of noticing. And if you'd like to practice with me, I'm on Periscope at about 8:45 Monday mornings, Atlantic time. And I have a little broadcast called Monday Morning Mindfulness. So follow me on Periscope at Laura Lake for a short little practice every Monday morning. Perception. Thoughts start with our perception. And our perception of our environment uses the five senses to gather information, process it, and create understanding. Now, the five senses are tasting, like the plate, hearing, seeing, feeling, and smelling. Experience. Thoughts help make sense of our experiences. Mindset. Thought patterns. There are different thought patterns and methods. Right now, you're probably saying, Laura, that's a really long definition. Tell me the short and sweet version. So the short and sweet version is that mindfulness is noticing what's happening in the here and now. It's the practice of noticing thoughts, acknowledging them and letting them go that is mindfulness. And if you'd like to practice with me, I have a little show on Periscope TV called Monday Morning Mindfulness. And at 8:45 on Monday mornings, that's in Atlantic time, you can join me at Laura Lake on Periscope, and we'll do a little bit of discussion as well as a short practice. Thoughts start with our perception. Our perception of our environment uses the five senses to gather information, process it, and create understanding. So the five senses are tasting, hearing, seeing, touching, and smelling. Experience. The next few slides are in the full course only, so I'm just going to read the top. Thoughts help make sense of our Maybe you should give me examples. Mindset, thought patterns and methods. On to our feelings. So feelings are mental and physical. Awareness of the senses helps detect these feelings. So our mental feelings are things like our mood, our emotion, our personality, and our physical feelings are things like feeling light. Maybe we're feeling tense, feeling open, feeling pain, we're feeling tired, energetic, hungry, satiated, stiff, relaxed, maybe a bit of indigestion, warmth. There's a whole bunch of physical things that go with our mental feelings. Emotions, reactions and beliefs, behavior, responding versus reacting, and what is the big difference? Oh, okay, that's the end. So this is the worksheet review, and we're going to go over the questions together. So question number 1 is going to be the same every week now. So number 1 is complete this week's wellness wheel using your improved knowledge of the bed mass of wellness. So this is what I look like this week. So B is our bed plus rest. And this week I'm an 8. E is emotional health. This week I'm also an 8. D is determine and decide our why. I'm at 7.5 still. Haven't really changed much in that. M is make our meals. I'm at a 6. A is activity. I'm at a 4. And the last one is S for surroundings. And I'm at a 6. So my total this week is 39.5 out of 60. Last week I was 34.5, so now I've actually improved my overall wellness from last week. Yay! So what are some of the notes? So falling asleep around 10 p.m., which is really nice. I'm not quite consistent on it yet because there's other meetings happening and stuff, but I'm more consistent. So E, I have an increased self-value and less stress, which is always nice. D, I'm still focused, and I have a bunch of deadlines now launching this course. M, oh yeah, the Halloween candy. I am so glad that all of the chocolate Halloween candy is gone because chocolate is one of my weak points, and that was not a very fun month for me. Activity, so I'm still just walking around. I've been doing a lot of work on this week, and I found that going through the process of actually putting week 5 emotional wellness into a PowerPoint presentation was really, I'm going to say, eye-opening for me. It was hard work because that's used to be where my lowest section was. And I'm so glad I did this. Thank you for joining me. And then S for surroundings. Ooh, this past weekend, I rearranged my office and I feel so much more comfortable. Number 2, rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 for each of the following. Number 1 being never. Number 2 is sometimes. Number 3 is neutral. Number 4 is often. And number 5 is always. So the first one says, I feel happy. And I think this week I'm about a 4. I feel self-confident. I'm about a 3. I feel self-aware. I'm about a 3. I feel resilient. Yeah, pretty good this week at a 4. I feel no stress. Yeah, quite the opposite. I'm quite stressed right now, trying to launch this course, but thank you. And I feel no anxiety. Ooh, same thing, quite the opposite. Quite stressed, quite anxious. So number 3, practice some form of mindfulness for at least 5 minutes a day. And if you don't have 5 minutes, then you can't tell me that you don't drink coffee, because that is the perfect time to practice some mindfulness for 5 minutes. So on Sunday, these are just examples-ish of what I've done this week. So on Sunday, I've spent about 5 minutes eating mindfully. That's the type of practice. And that was while drinking my smoothie. It's chocolate, and remember, trying to get over the whole Halloween chocolate. So I did some mindfulness. Monday was about 15 minutes because I do the Monday morning mindfulness on Periscope. And this past week we did a body scan. So on Tuesday was about 5 minutes again, and it was mindful eating, and that was when I was drinking my tea. That's one of my favorite practices. So if you have a cup of coffee every morning or a cup of tea or whatever it is that you drink, just sit there for about 5 minutes. Feel what it tastes like. Feel what it smells like. Just go through the whole senses. You'll enjoy it. Wednesday was about 10 minutes. I did a walking practice, which is one of my other favorites, and that was when I was walking home. Now, Thursday was a long one. Thursday, I tend to go to open groups. So I did a formal practice with a different teacher, and she guided us just through a formal practice. So we sat there for 30 minutes practicing. Friday was about 10, and I did some mindful stretching. So it's just doing your stretches, but doing it mindfully. So you're paying attention to each muscle, each joint, how it feels. And that was a self-practice. I didn't watch any videos for that. And then Saturday, I did a body scan while I was laying in bed. Can't remember if that was when I woke up or if I went to bed. Number 4, thoughts are not facts. Okay, I will say that again. Thoughts are not facts. The things that we think are not true. So write down a few thoughts that are not true, and then I want you to reword them positively so they are. So some of the negative self-talk that some of us may say in our heads are things like, I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough experience. Lots of people know more than me. I can't do that. I'll never achieve my goals. Okay, now let's take those common negative self-talk sentences and make them positive so they're true. So instead of I'm not good enough, let's say things like, I love and value myself. I don't have enough experience. Well, I'm constantly learning to be my best. Lots of people know more than me. Yeah? Well, I inspire others and myself with my journey and my story. I can't do that. Well, you know what? I keep developing new skills with practice. And how about the last one? I'll never achieve my goals. I can achieve my goals with a thought out plan. Well, maybe have you heard of reverse engineering your goals? Number 5, think of a time in which you failed. Now that could be a very simple fail, like I had mentioned earlier, 7 plus 2 equals 10. Oops, things happen. Or it can be a big failure like failing a class or failing university, whatever it is. That's an opportunity for you to learn. So what did you learn as a result? So I'll share a bit of my failures with you. So university was an extremely difficult time for me. I had the whole different mindset going in there, and things changed halfway through the year drastically, and I ended up passing the year second last in my class. There was about 50 of us, and I came in 48. But I learned how important mindset is. And because of that, I went on to college afterwards and graduated second in the entire school. I was off of being first by 0.5%. How crazy is that? Number 6, write what happens physically when you experience each emotion. So we had mentioned that feelings are both mental and physical. So I've put down different feelings like happy, scared, angry, sad, powerful, and peaceful. And I want you to write down the types of things that happen physically to you, like what changes, what do you feel when you're feeling those emotions mentally. So for me, when I'm happy, it increases my heart rate. And if I'm smiling a lot, then my cheeks tend to hurt after a while. I get really energetic and excited, and I find that my body is just, it's more open, like my chest is open. When I'm scared, my heart tends to race. My senses are heightened because it's the fight or flight mode that kicks in. And I find that my chest gets really tight. When I'm angry, um, that's when I start to feel really warm and hot. Have you seen the movie Inside Out? How the little anger guy just has flames coming out of his head? That's kind of what I feel like. And at the same time, I get really tense muscles, lots of energy because I just want to hit a pillow or hit somebody with my pillow. And I find that my shoulders come forward. It's kind of like making me wider, but yet tense at the same time. So when I feel sad, I find that it's hard to breathe, especially if I'm crying. There's a lack of energy. I don't really want to do anything. My shoulders slouch forward. I have horrible posture, and I find that I get a headache. Okay, I don't want to say headache because I don't really get headaches per se, but my head does hurt. So powerful. I'm open. My chest is up and open. I have better posture. My shoulders are actually back away from my chest, and I find that I take up more space. So think of like a Superman pose or something like that. And when I'm peaceful, I find everything slows down, creating space. And again, my senses are heightened. My muscles are relaxed and my heart rate gets slower. So I love emojis. These ones are kind of silly. But just relate yourself, both physically and mentally. Number 7, emotional health is a practice. So I want you to list examples of everyday situations or assumptions for each practice. Write out positive responses you can use in each of these situations or when you're making those specific assumptions. So the practices are to ask, because people can't read our minds, being involved in nature and experiencing life and our environment, self-love, which is respecting your mind and your body, being mindful of the tasks that we do, focusing on one thing at a time, and the last one is comparison. So you only want to compare you to yourself. So here are some of my examples. So one of the situations is I don't know how to do something, but I will try to fumble along anyway. Well, what should I be doing? I should be asking. So I could ask a friend or a family member, maybe another entrepreneur. And if I can't find an individual, I'll reach out to a community who has already done it before, and they can give me their suggestions and resources. So under nature, taking a lunch break is a waste of time and a crunch. I know lots of people who have done this. They'll skip a break, they'll skip lunch, so that they can work through lunch. But what ends up happening is we get really stressed out. We don't tend to focus as well. So what can we do? Well, if we actually take the break, then we nurture our brain and our body so that we can hit the reset button. You stressed? Hit the reset button. And then by doing that, we actually become more efficient. Self-love. I don't want to come across as conceited or egotistical. Well, loving myself actually means respecting myself, putting myself first. I'm a priority. I care deeply about myself and my well-being and my happiness. What about mindful tasks? So it says, I don't have time to meditate. Isn't it a waste of time? Well, mindfulness is focusing on the present task and the present moment. Being aware of what's happening and being focused on the task actually saves us time. So the last one is comparison. John and Jane Doe are lucky. Whoever you want to put in there for names. They have X, or they can do X. You don't want to compare yourself to other people. By putting in effort for whatever that X is, then I'm getting closer to my goal. And I'm proud of where I've come so far. Or sorry, how far I've come so far. So lastly, do you have any questions? I want you to get to know and take responsibility for you. I'm getting to know myself as I'm writing this stuff. And the more I get to know myself, the more I can take responsibility for it. And just know that you are in the driver's seat of your life. I'm not driving your life. Your mom's not driving your life. Neither is your siblings or anybody else around you, or even your boss. You are the one making the choices. You get to drive your life. So here's a quote by Dr. Seuss. It says, "Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away." It's one of my daughter's favorite books. It says, "Oh baby, go baby," or "Oh the places you'll go." That's what it's called. And the picture is actually an air balloon, but it's from the movie Up. I just thought that was cute. You guys have a great week. I will see you next week. Bye.